How are cults created? What is the energetic mechanism that allows a seemingly ordinary person to create a cult? How and why do clever people get into that cult and get stuck there? That's what I'll be explaining in this video, and this explanation will be based on the foundation that I already laid out in my previous video about the energy healing. It is the same energetic mechanism. Today, I'll just be taking you deeper. So, in both cases, we have two people, one person who is searching for help, for guidance, for healing, for light, and the second person who is ready to provide all that, which means that this person already knows how to radiate light, which implies he knows how to enter quantum state of consciousness. Now, key point number one, this ability to enter quantum state of consciousness is not necessarily achieved through hard spiritual work only. It can also be achieved by accident. It can even be achieved in prison. Or if you're stuck in an abusive relationship for a long period of time, you might develop this ability. If you are subjected to pain and you have no chance to run away, you have an option to learn how to shrink your awareness to feel less and less of that pain that you are being subjected to. So when that pressure is applied to you, you shrink your awareness, and if you do that long enough, you might discover an ability to switch off your awareness altogether. The moment you do that, you gain awareness of the whole. You don't have awareness of the body and the pain that it's being subjected to at the moment, but instead you have awareness of everything else. So that is a state of consciousness that yogis train for years and years trying to achieve. They intentionally put pressure onto themselves to shrink their awareness into that point of nothingness in order to reach that expansion. And a victim of abuse just stumbles upon this ability while trying to escape suffering. So this is the first point to be clear about. Ability to enter quantum state of consciousness is natural to all of us humans. And ability to enter quantum state of consciousness and radiate light, channel light, does not require someone being spiritually pure or spiritually advanced. It's not a must. So this explains how come some random person can start a cult and people are following. Because you don't actually need to be pure and spiritual in order to radiate light, for which so many people in the world are hungry. So that's the first point. Second point, why does that person even do that? If he discovers this ability, why he decides to use it against people? Well, this is also a very logical thing for someone to do once you understand the mechanism of human consciousness and the levels which we go through during our evolution. The levels of the lower two castes, merchants and laborers, their capacity of their consciousness is not large enough to keep the memory of an event such as I just described. They also can shrink under pressure, they can shrink, switch off their awareness, and then switch it back on. They also, as all humans, we have ability to do that. People of lower castes also can do that, but they will experience this more like going to sleep. They just switch off, and then they wake up and they don't remember anything that happened in between. They don't yet have enough capacity. Their consciousness is not ready to hold the memory of what happens in between them switching off and switching back on. So for them, it's just like falling asleep. They fall asleep, they wake up, they don't remember. Their capacity is not sufficient to keep awareness of that experience, to be able to remember it and replicate afterwards. To be able to do that, a person must already have level of consciousness of a warrior caste. That's where your capacity is already large enough to remember what happens when you shrink to nothingness. That is a warrior. In the case, the one who remembers what happened how and learns how to do it at will is, in 100% of cases, a representative of the warrior caste. So this explains why this person will try to use this skill as soon as they discover that they can do it, and they notice that when they enter that state, people start seeing them as more charismatic, more attractive. So first thing that a warrior will do as soon as he notices that he is now more charismatic, more attractive in the eyes of everyone else, he will try to extract power from this dynamic. Because if just yesterday he was subjected to abuse, obviously there was some kind of power dynamic going on there, power struggle where he was losing. So as soon as he discovers this ability to attract people's attention, first thing to do, first instinct of any warrior is to learn to extract power from this interaction. And how will he do that? He will try to catch as many people as he can, and he will try to turn them into sources of energy, sources of power, or batteries for himself. Because this person has just discovered ability to enter that state of consciousness and to channel light, but hasn't yet discovered ability to generate light. So a beginner level of warrior caste assumes that all power in this world is received horizontally only. You must take it away from someone. If you want to have more power, you have to fight with someone and extract power from them. So that's the natural thing for any warrior to do. Once he is in that situation, he will try to turn everyone who comes for his light into some kind of energy. He will try to extract, he'll try to monetize that interest that people have in him and his light. Now, that's second point, which explains why he does it. It's natural. Any one of you, any human who is in that situation will, by instinct, do the same thing. Now, how is that done? To explain that, I'll have to explain the relationship between such concepts as free will, surrender, and totality. If I want to change something in the world, I have to keep in mind one basic rule of this universe. I can only change myself. If I want to change you, I have to find a way to include you inside of me. Then I make change inside of me, and you are affected by that change because you are a part of me at that time. When the change affects you, then I can separate you out of myself and you walk away with that change. That is the basic rule of magic. I cannot change someone who is outside of me. I have to find a way to include you inside of myself, then I change myself and you are affected. If I want to change the world, I have to find a way to include the whole world inside of myself. Then once again, I make change inside of myself and the whole world changes. So, which means if I want to teach you something or change you or heal you, I have to enter quantum state of consciousness where my consciousness is in superposition. I am still me, but I'm also you. So I'm me and you and both of us at the same time. That is a state of consciousness that any healer must enter in order to perform a change. Now, where in nature do you see two people being one? In this state of superposition, where two are one. If you're thinking in the right direction, the answer is pregnant woman. That's the best example where one and two, pregnant woman is one and she's two at the same time. She is one and two and both. Now, this is the best way to understand how this mechanism works. If you just imagine the woman with the baby in her womb, and teacher or healer, when working with someone else, has to follow that same logic, has to include the person inside herself or himself as a mother includes baby into her womb. Then the mother changes herself, and that change affects the baby. Okay, that same logic. That's what we do when we work and with people, teaching or guiding. That's the same mechanism, and the cult leader will follow all the same steps of this process that I just described. He will show you the light. You will come for that light. Once you are close enough, they will connect with you, become one with you by including you inside of themselves. When you are inside of them, they will change their own state of consciousness, and you will feel your state of consciousness change as a result of that. When you are in that changed state of consciousness, the cult leader will lock you in the womb. That's the tricky part. That's the whole idea of the cult, is based on this ability to lure you in, make you relax and surrender enough so that you allow me to include you into myself. That's, if you remember in the energy healing session, I asked the man to relax and let go of all thoughts. That is my request for him to surrender to my will, to include him, for me to be able to include him inside of myself. So the cult leader will do the same thing. He will ask you to trust, to relax, to surrender. And the moment you do, he'll include you inside his womb. Then he will change his state of consciousness, which you will enjoy most probably at that time, your shift in energy. You will experience something that you will memorize and enjoy, and at that point he will lock you in that state. And that is the whole purpose of the cult, because the cult leader needs you as batteries. So he needs to be like a mother who has many, many, many babies in her womb, all blocked in the womb, forever hibernating, not having permission to be born, because you need to be inside the womb of the cult leader for him to be able to access light through your channels, because each baby in the womb has his own channel of light, special for him. And if you're included into my womb, I have access to your channel as your mother. So that's how cult leader turns these people into batteries, because he needs their connection and he needs to keep them hibernating in the womb. And that is done by very simple technique of paralyzing your will. The locking you in the womb is done by something, for example, planting an idea of loyalty. If you come and ask me to teach you something, and I can say, okay, I can teach you this very, very, very special thing, or I can make you experience that very, very elevated state of consciousness, on one condition. If you promise that if I teach you this thing, you will not go to any other teacher. Now, if you promise me that, and tomorrow I will teach you something absolutely outrageous, and you will feel like going and asking someone else for advice and like clarifying what I said, you will feel guilt and shame for doing that, because this idea of loyalty or devotion or dedication is implanted in your consciousness, and it paralyzes your will. That's how you're kept in the womb. It's done by presenting you some concept which might sound good, like loyalty, devotion, dedication, like love, acceptance. Beautiful words usually are used to do this. For you to accept them, they have to be presented to you in a beautiful form. But that concept that is given to you, in fact, is a virus that is inserted into your consciousness in order to paralyze your free will. That's how you are kept in the womb. Your will must be paralyzed. You look at the mother with a baby in the womb, only mother has free will to decide. Baby just does not have free will yet. So that's the aim of a cult leader, to keep you in that state. And that's done by planting viruses into you. One little thing that cult leaders don't consider, simply because they're usually just beginner level warriors and they don't really have very good background in the energy mechanisms and understanding how it all works. When they do it, they don't consider this little detail that when they insert a virus into your consciousness, they don't consider that baby is in the womb. How logical is it? If I'm a mother and I have a baby in the womb, why would I insert some poisoning agent or some virus into the baby? I will only do that if I don't understand the mechanism. If I don't understand that poisoning the baby eventually will poison the mother as well. So that's the little thing that cult leaders don't understand, and that's why cult cannot live long. Technically, it cannot survive. It will work for a while, but it will have to fall apart simply because of this little thing, that by locking babies in the womb and by poisoning all of them, the cult leader is eventually poisoning himself. But that's something that this warrior has to learn, has to go through in order to understand. So that's also logical, that's normal, natural, nothing wrong with that process. And I'm explaining these processes without adding the moral component to this. I just want you to understand the mechanics of these processes. So, one little detail. Why does a cult leader need to paralyze your will? This is the key element for everyone who would like to escape a cult or who would like to escape some relationship where you are pushed and like where loyalty is demanded from you. Why you're stuck? Because you feel like you don't have free will to disconnect. And this is the little key. Cult leader has to paralyze your will for one and only a reason, because free will cannot be taken away from you. Please understand this point clearly. Also, for the questions about magic that have been asked in the comments, it applies there also, black magic and all that stuff. Like, does it actually work or not? Hopefully you can apply this idea there as well. Free will is something that cannot be taken away from human. And if that, not human, from anyone, but we're talking about people here. So free will is yours if you are born already physically. You're not inside your physical mother right now, I hope. If you're walking already, you're an adult, we can be absolutely sure that you do have your free will to disconnect from anyone or anything, any teacher, any spouse who demands loyalty from you, or any cult leader who is like keeping you trapped. You do have free will at any given moment. That's why it has to be paralyzed. Your will has to be paralyzed because it cannot be taken away from you. So it has to be paralyzed, and it's done by inserting some kind of virus into your consciousness, which will trigger guilt, shame, in you so that you'll feel as if you can't move. So that's the basic explanation of how and why it's done, how the cult is organized energetically. Now, last question is, why do people stay there? For that question, once again, we'll have to consider separately people of the lower two castes and warriors separately. Because lower two castes will stay in a cult willingly because they actually don't want to have free will at their access, or they don't want to have that free will available to them, because free will means responsibility. So level of laborer and merchant will be willingly giving away their power to anyone who will come and take responsibility of them and promise them stability and safety. So lower two castes stay in a cult for safety. They don't want free will. They are ready and willing to give it away, not to have responsibility for anything in life. Now, warrior has different interest. Priority of a warrior is power. So a warrior stays in a cult trying to understand how it's done, how it works. A warrior is naturally curious to understand how that leader is doing this. He wants to understand the mechanics. He wants to become better and better at doing what the leader does. The goal of the warrior is usually to get as close as he can to the leader, possibly become husband or wife of the leader, or favorite wife of the leader, or possibly in a possible future to overthrow the leader, because for the warrior, everything is a competition. And a leader has some power that a warrior wants to gain to understand how he is doing this. So a warrior will usually imitate surrender. He will not give away his free will, but he will act like a good follower, and he'll quickly understand what is expected of him in the cult, and he will imitate like a good follower to stay there longer, to have time to expand and learn how to get to the level of the leader. So that's the reason why people stay there. No need to feel pity to them. They know what they're doing. So that's the basic explanation of this mechanism. Still, there are some more details of this energetic structure, but at least bit by bit we're moving through it, hopefully. So let me know if it's clear enough, or if you have more questions on the cult mechanics specifically. And thank you for watching. See you soon.